Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Today the fusion for the Incarnate has gone live, and as always on the channel, I am here. I'm a bit late today because I'm just literally back in the door from a holiday, just a short couple of days away, just in Ireland. Nothing too crazy, but I am back, and we squeezed this in today. A fusion guide for the Incarnate. Basically, which events you need to do, what's going on, and so on. Now, the first thing we've got to touch on is this is it's a wacky one. So first of all, it is, as you can see, what they call a mixed fusion, which means you collect fragments to fuse up 4 copies of Slixus. So I've just installed a patch, so I guess it's slow loading. Yeah, you have to collect fragments for 4 copies of him. Then you've got to level those all up to 50 and then fuse them up into her. So it's time limited. This is definitely the hardest version, and she's not the most exciting champion for such probably the most difficult fusion style, I would say. I put out my showcase for her earlier. You can watch that to see me trying out lots of different teams. Obviously, it's just the first impressions. You know, I cannot promise you that there won't be some niche thing that comes out in the future that she's absolutely amazing for. That's always a possibility, of course. But yeah, I think she looks fairly average, honestly, would be my thoughts. But yeah, now looking at this, right? So you need to get 4 copies of this Void Epic. You could get lucky and pull one, and we'll talk about that when we come to the shard events in a second. It's possible. For the most part, though, you should probably plan really not to be trying to pull one. You should be planning to get 400 fragments. Now, there are 50 extra fragments in an extra summon rush with extra champion fragments over here, which is, well, it's very wacky, honestly. This is a very strange one. And if we look at, well, actually, I think Plarium Play might be the best place to see it. This is the Plarium Play events tab where you can see the calendar of what is happening, what's coming up when. We have this extra summon rush. Summon champs from shards to earn event points. I think the in-game news confirms this as well. But get 100% more event points than usual when summoning from ancient and primal shards in this event to get an extra 50 fragments to help fuse the Incarnate. So, I mean, who's gonna have frickin' primals left after the big super 2x primal weekend? Probably nobody. So this summon rush, I mean, void shards and sacred shards will still be good for this summon rush. Obviously, primals would be by far the best, but I mean, you would have pulled probably all of them. You might get 1 or 2 extra. I'm sitting back at 0 again. But ancient shards might be the big way to do this. It could still be pretty tricky, though, with ancient shards. So this is a big question. It's also kind of funky. You know, my initial thought was, oh, this could be a guaranteed champion because we haven't had one in ages. I mean, I think the only new champion that you could pull from, like, the ancients or primals maybe would be Matthias Blackflail, who kind of cool. Someone said maybe his model is sort of like an adapted Iron Twins model, which actually looks pretty legit. He definitely has an Iron Twins vibe. I wonder. He's probably pretty all right against Iron Twins as well. Not amazing, but all right. I don't know about this guy, though. I haven't play tested him. If he is the guaranteed, I will jump on the test server and do a play test. I will also try to do maybe play test of Halsring and stuff like that on the test server now that I'm back. But if he was a guaranteed, like this, it might not be a guaranteed. It's a pretty funky one. So like this could be, it could be anything really. It could be they often as well do. I probably think it's not, but I mean Vizug is in there, the new faction unity guy. I think he looks to be insanely good. Honestly, this guy is very impressive to me. Just from reading his kit. I think it's more likely they do a summon pool event for him though at some point in the next month. They used to do a summon pool. Like, yeah, they might show up in a 10x event, but this is definitely a weird summon rush. I'm really not sure. I mean, it does specifically say here there's mythical tomes, legendary tomes, gems, champion fragments. I mean, there might not be any special reward. It might just be a random summon rush. You know? It might be. I mean, there'd be boosted champions, maybe progressive chance, but it's a strange one, to be honest. Right, I was just getting some detail up there. Let's look at the other summoning events as well. So we've got Summon Rush over here. Again, we're starting with the Summon Rush tomorrow, and then we got the bonus one. And there's also going to be a Champion Chase tournament. Now, if we look at our tracking on hellhades.com, we were expecting a 2x void summoning event to come. Now, obviously, it's not. We're getting a summon rush instead, and then we're getting a weird ancient primal summon rush right after. So I would guess this champion chase is probably 2x void, but that is unfortunately a guess, right? Like they used to be very consistent. Like for years, honestly, they are super consistent. They've really started mixing up the summon events in the last few months, making it much more difficult to predict. So my expectation is this is probably a void one, but it could be anything. Like they can literally do anything these days. Like there's sort of no rules. So yeah, that makes it difficult to predict. Now this summon rush coming up, we do know information about it. So these are the progressive chance champions that are coming in. Improve my protection. Oh my, unlock instant stuff. I need to get a different antivirus edition thing. But yeah, so these are the progressive chance. I mean, this makes me suspicious about a guaranteed champ as well, because these are actually really good. Genuinely really good. So this summon rush is not tied to any particular shard. Primals, Voids, Sacreds are all be great for this. Ancients would be terrible. Obviously save the Ancients for the other summon rush one, pretty much. But for this, Prince Kaimar, Rotus, Sun Wukong, and Korra, Hefrak, they are all fantastic. Honestly, they're super, super good. Like you can legitimately pull for any of these. I'd say Hefrak could be the weakest one. Like he's fine, but there's a lot of better nukers. Prince Kaimar can be really strong. If you don't have reset champions, Prince Kaimar is super good for resetting like Doom Tower waves, dungeon waves, that sort of thing. Sun Wukong, most people will have him because he's been a free champion and returned, not only in the login thing, but as a promo code for new players periodically as well. But he's good. He's great. White Queen and Korra, I think, has been a bit of a sleeper. She's obviously amazing for Arena. Yeah, I think she's so... Look, I think you can legitimately pull any of them. Then Taris the Fierce and Shu Zhen the Valorous are both insane as well. Shu Zhen is super good. She's like a supercharged Arbiter. You lose the revive, but you get better speed control in Arena. And then Taris is probably still the best HP nuker in the game. The guy's insane. Interestingly, for Hydra, right, Shu Zhen is in the best team in the world. Obviously with Trunda. She's the best support for Trunda alongside W Yumiko. For Hydra. If that gets changed, though, in the future, Taris, he's also way up there. He's not anymore in the best non-Trunda team. He was in the best non-Trunda team alongside the Orc Mythical. He's since been power crept a bit by Toshiro, who's the newer Shadowkin Mythical, sort of replaced Taris in those teams. But Taris is still way up there for Hydra. So if they ever did change the Trunda stuff in future, Taris would be way up there. Shu Zhen would still be good. I think they're both fantastic. They're both great Arena champs as well. Honestly, this is a really good progressive chance event. Like, I wonder if they're kind of going, man, people don't seem too interested in the fusion. Well, we'll give them a really good progressive to start it off. Phoenix, Magnar, Gorgrab, Gembo, and Gala. These are all really good. For me, I'm probably more interested in the Gala, but Gembo's okay. Gembo, funny enough, is quite similar to the Fusion Epic, I think. Gorgrab, Magnar, and Phoenix are all great epics as well. Magnar, really good epic HP nuker, so he's tanky. Phoenix brings a block revive on his A1, which can be really good. Gorgrab is like a budget arbiter. He'd be the weakest one. I'd say Magnar and Phoenix are better. So yeah, looking at this event, bearing in mind it might be 2x voids, like I think the voids for this are pretty good. Like if you have an excess of voids, like I do, this is really good, but you would want to save for the 2x voids as well. So like you might want, I don't know, 30. Let's make this more clear. You might want like is that more clear? Maybe 30 voids or something to be safe, like, which is a lot. You can obviously with Champion Chase, you can also do things like summon in these fragments, right? Collect the fragments, summon them during the Champion Chase. They're void epics. So each one would be 350 champion chase points. It's quite a lot, right? Regular epics are 250. So you could get, you get 2, potentially 3 of these voids summoned during champion chase, which would help and would bring this down actually a big chunk, a really big chunk. You might get away with way less, like maybe 15 or something. Like, it would bring the cost potentially way down, but it's really hard to know until we actually get there. but big chunk of voids for that. So the voids for this summon rush are great, but you might want to do it with like sacreds instead. We've kind of confirmed that sacreds are not going to be part of this summon rush. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. We'll see tomorrow exactly how many you need for this. I mean, how mean are they going to be? He's a void epic, so they might be kind of mean. I would say like 7 sacreds. Let's say seven sacreds. Let's just scribble it in. Would be sort of my guess for what it's worth. And then I've really got no clue at this summon rush what it could be. I really have no clue. There's 50 fragments, so you got to bet it's going to be really, really expensive, honestly. But it might open you up to skipping other stuff. I'd be tending to say, like, if you want to go for this fusion, I would probably try to do the first summon rush. The first summon rush seems fairly safe to try to do. There's good champion. If you get lucky, they're good champions. You're getting it out of the way nice and early. And then, hey, if you complete this other summon rush, if this actually ends up being really good and you complete it, well, great. I could skip the champion chase, and I could skip maybe Dungeon Divers 3, something like that. Or you could skip like 2 Dungeon Divers events and do the champion chase. It sort of depends where you are in terms of shards versus energy. But this could, I mean, it looks kind of rough to me, you know? Like, but you could do Sacreds for Summon Rush, Ancients for this Summon Rush, Voids for this one, if you've lots of all of those types of shards. Pretty big if, but we'll throw it out there as an option, I guess. Right, let's touch on some other stuff that's more straightforward. 3 artifact enhancement events. Each one, I would say, you know... I'm writing so badly. Oh my god, I can't write today. Let's say 20 mil silver to be safe for each one, approximately. If you're a little unlucky, you might need 25. Unlikely to need more than that. You might easily get away with more like 15 mil if you've prepped your gear a little bit. Let's say roughly 20 mil per artifact enhancement to be safe. You're obviously going to generate silver as well, farming for stuff for the fusion. So you're looking at 60 million probably total. Let's look at something that's easy, which would be the classic arena. These are always easy at the moment. They're kind of freebies. Track your daily points if you're unsure. Like if you're in silver arena, you need to track your points a bit. I think if you're in gold arena, these should be basically for free. Not too bad. Like I said, probably the nastiest events, of course, are the triple dungeon divers. One is very short. The first one is very long. I believe this first one is massive points. I saw someone complaining about it already in Discord. No surprise. These dungeon divers suck, right? Yeah, this one, like 3,750 points is a huge amount of points. There's nice rewards along the way, but dear Lord, that's a lot of points. You're going to be grinding a ton. So yeah, you got a good few days to do it. It will even overlap a bit with the Ice Golem tournament, but that's pretty rough. So Fire Night starts today, so I would definitely just... keep grinding Fire Night until Ice Golem begins, then do Ice Golem. Then you can really, chill on the Ice Golem for a few days. It will sync up again at the end with the next Dungeon Divers, and that's probably a good idea. Then there's a bit of a gap, and then we've got Dragon syncs with that. You can take a break for a few days, 1 day really, and then try finish it off with Dungeon Divers 3, and then same sort of thing, Spider. This is a bit of a tricky one, honestly. So, yeah, like syncing up... The first one's easy, right? Fire Night starts today. Dungeon Diver starts today. Just sort of slow burn, right? You've got lots of... nothing new is coming until Sunday. So you've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday to get Fire Night done. That should be super easy. And then pop excess energy into whatever dungeon you want to farm. Like, I'll probably just farm Spider for silver, and try get Dungeon Divers 1 done. On Sunday, you can blitz a bunch of Ice Golem for it. Personally, for me, I'm probably more likely to try get Dungeon Divers 1 done a bit early, and then I'll probably be trying to quite focus on champion training early on, and then really switch back into dungeons from there. So I'll try get champion training done early, and then switch over. Of course, yeah, you probably want to free up a big chunk of space in case you're going to summon for the Summon Rush for Ancients as well. That's something to bear in mind. For freeing up space for those Ancient pulls, if you're going for this, you might get a chunk of champion training done just to feed the food and have enough space to summon. So you do have that overlap as well. And then finally here at the end, this champion training tournament, this one is quite awkward, honestly. Like, you can certainly finish it towards the end. So actually, let me fill that in. This probably makes sense towards the end, but then really at any point in here, once you're sort of on top of the dungeon divers, farming campaign helps a bit with dungeon divers, but yeah, it's it's kind of, it's not super easy, is it? They've really tried to make it painful. So again, for me, I'll be doing Fire Knight until it's done, however long that takes. I'll do I'll probably actually do champ training early, and then I will probably do Ice Golem over here. I'll do Dragon over here. I guess we'll do a bit of champ training in the middle. And then I will probably be doing, whoops, excuse me, I'll be doing Spider as soon as that's live, finishing that off very quickly. I'll do this champ training towards the end. In fact, I'll probably do this champ training over here, get it done pretty early, put in a bit I might finish, and I guess I'll squeeze some Dragon in here perhaps if needed with this Dungeon Divers. It all depends on the exact points, but that would be roughly speaking what I'm hoping to do myself. And that is actually all the events. It's a rough one, guys. Like, for a champion that is, I'll be honest, not very exciting. She's not a very exciting champion by any mean, shape, or form. Again, some of my takeaways from my showcase earlier were that I do think she is, for an early game player, you don't have good champions. You can put her in with your Arbiter when you get her, and she'll be an okay combo with Arbiter. She's got some nice bonuses for Arbiter, so they'll be an okay combo for an early game player, a new player. And then that will carry over well enough into the mid game, where I think you actually ditch the Arbiter combo. I think the Arbiter combo is not that strong, and you just use her in like a tanky go second type team, be that in dungeons or in like tag team arena, and she does actually come in and provide you with a very solid tanky champion. It's a ton of protection for your team. Ally protection, strengthen, and a shield. It's actually genuinely really good support. And late game, though, at the moment, I feel like late game she falls off and doesn't really have any uses. And like just a general protection type champion overlaps very much so with Vault Keeper Wixwell, who we just got. That would be my main concern for most people as well, is going, well, I think you really should book Vaultkeeper Wixwell. Do you want to book a second protection champion? I don't know that you do. And you don't need to book her A1, I don't think, but you definitely want to book her definitely her A3, and preferably the A2 as well. And that's tricky. That's kind of tricky. So I don't know. She's a tough sell, I'll be honest. For me, I am going to go for this, certainly. I'm definitely going to go for it. Because, I'm in a position where I've been playing the game for ages. I've got lots of resources, and I can also spend for resources if I need to, because I'm a content creator. It's a very unique position to be in. So for me, I think I really should go for it. Like I said, I've only skipped 2 fusions intentionally before. I don't regret skipping Great Hoofloriaka, but I do regret skipping Lanathril. They're the only 2 I've intentionally skipped. So skipping is a little bit of a dodgy thing for a content creator, personally, I think. But for you, I don't know. It's a tough one to complete. She doesn't seem that great. Like I said, the main thing I think she could be useful for, they have said that they are considering doing a more difficult version of Faction Wars, like hard mode Faction Wars. And in that sense, she's actually probably fairly decent for High Elves to protect and keep you alive. Like if you don't have Galathir, but like to keep your Arbiter alive, I mean, Tatora is in there. He's decent. Germani, to an extent, brings some healing, but not like mitigation. Islin and Tatura. I'm not a big Islin fan, but like if you've got Islin, they're somewhat similar. Yeah, Tatora as well. She actually would combo quite well with Tatora. He brings block debuffs, increased defense, and perfect veil. It's a bunch of stuff that she doesn't have, so they actually combo quite well together. Incarnate, Tatora, and Arbiter, and like bam, you've got a good base for a hard Faction Wars. But I mean, you also have things like just Vergis is not bad. I don't know about this. Like it's a stretch. I feel like a lot of people are going to skip this fusion. It depends. I think it depends. How difficult are you going to find it, right? How difficult do you find this? I think if you're like, it's a little bit annoying, but it's not a big deal. That's sort of my feeling for me personally. For me personally, then it's probably worth doing. But if you're going like, boy, oh boy, no, but if I do this, like, I'm scrambling for these resources. It's going to be a huge pain in the butt. I don't know if I'm going to even use this champion. This is going to put me in danger of completing the next fusion. And fusions have been gosh darn strong this year, apart from this one, I think. In that situation, I'm like, yeah, all right, then. Fair enough. I think a lot of people want to take a break as well. That's a lot of comments I've seen. It's tough. It's tough. It's probably, honestly, for most people, it's, well, for a decent chunk of people, something you could consider is just doing the first few events and seeing what this summon rush ends up being. And, let's say, like, this summon rush is the big one to skip. Like, one dungeon diver. This stuff before is not too bad, right? You still even have time to complete Ice Golem Champ training when this dungeon summon rush goes live, right? The only thing you really need that's hard to complete before this summon rush are the first summon rush and the first dungeon divers. So you can potentially do the other stuff fairly easily, I would think, and see this summon rush and then make your decision. If this summon rush is super juicy, like if it's a really good... the good potential would be, imagine it was Incensa Grailbearer. I think she's very solid from my testing of her. She's really nice champion. If she was in there for like a guaranteed void from Ancients summon rush, you'd be like, okay, that's pretty good. That would be pretty worthwhile, honestly, from a lot of players if you had enough Ancients to do it. So that might actually tempt you in. If it's a real good summon rush over here, it could make this fusion actually worth doing. Because like 2x voids is fine to pull your voids on. That's not so bad. So yeah, tricky one. I'll leave it up to you to decide what you want to do. Like I said, I imagine a good chunk of people are going to skip. I will personally do it. But it's a tough sell. Honestly, that's my thoughts on it. So guys, there you go. Hopefully this plan is helpful to you. Let me know if you have any other tips as well. Oh, I didn't mention, you're going to need to ascend some void, guys. So make sure you got enough void potions. Can I find that out for you? Hang on. Look at that. I actually conveniently have a second account. 5-star. So this is what a 5-star void epic costs. 20 medium void pots, 6 big ones, 15 medium white ones, and 3 big white ones. That's what it costs to ascend a void epic. You need to do that. And actually, yeah, that's from 0 to 5-star. You need to do that for 4 of them. So it's a decent chunk of the void pots. Just make sure you've got enough. You probably do. Void pots tend to just build up, right? But you can only earn them unless you think you can open these. You can open them with gems if you're stuck, but right, on Sundays. So just bear that in mind. It's probably not a huge deal, but yeah, you will need to ascend these 4 guys, obviously, and then it costs, what, like $1 million or $2 million or something? I think it's $1 million to fuse the legendary before the timer runs out. Also, CVC should be here somewhere. So we just had CVC gone, so it's not this week, but over here, this should be CVC, and it is probably personal rewards, I would assume. So this would be a good time to fuse her, right? During this CVC would be a great time. So yeah, it'd be fuse the fragment voids during champion chase for extra voids, for points, I should say, and then fuse the legendary during personal rewards CVC for an extra 30k points. Would be ideal, and you should be trying to finish these events then anyway. Makes it a pretty good time to farm Spider, pretty good time to upgrade artifacts as well for lots of points. So that's something to bear in mind. Looks like Dungeon Divers 3 will end before CVC begins, sadly. Probably sadly. Yeah, and then there'll be stuff after this. I would certainly expect a summon pool for the new Faction Unity guy, and again, probably other stuff. They might do an event for the Soul as well for this. Should be I guess a tough sell if they do a Soul event for the Incarnate. I don't know. Would we bother? Would anyone bother? They'd have to make it pretty darn accessible. I don't know. Listen, there you go. That's my breakdown. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I'll see you for shard pulls. I'll be pulling my shards tomorrow. I will probably, like I said, I will probably do voids for Gala Long Braids, and Taurus is probably what I'll go for, but we'll confirm that when I do my shard pulls tomorrow. See you all then. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.